Before I begin, let me ask you something. Do you ever find comfort in quiet stories? Not the loud ones. Not the dramatic ones full of chaos and shouting. But the soft ones. The kind that sit with you long after the screen goes dark. The kind that feel less like entertainment, and more like a memory you didn't know you had. If stories like that mean something to you, take a second right now and subscribe to this channel. Because this space is for people who feel deeply, who think quietly, who understand that sometimes the biggest changes in life happen without noise. And if you've ever experienced a small moment that changed you forever, something no one else even noticed, press like. Then leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. Now, take a slow breath. Because what I'm about to share isn't dramatic. It isn't explosive. But it's honest. And sometimes honesty hits harder than anything else. People assume that when couples try something new, it's because something is broken. Because they're fighting. Because they're unhappy. Because they're one step away from falling apart. But that wasn't us. That's what most people get wrong. From the outside we looked fine. Actually more than fine. Stable. Comfortable. Predictable in the kind of way that makes relatives say, "Wow, you two are lucky." No drama. No problems. We paid our bills on time. We remembered birthdays. We cooked dinner together sometimes. We watched shows on the couch. We slept in the same bed every night. We laughed at the same old jokes we'd been repeating for years. Nothing was wrong. And yet, something felt missing. Not missing in a loud way. Not the kind that screams for attention. More like, when you walk into a room and feel like you forgot something, but you can't remember what. That quiet, unsettled feeling. That was our marriage. We weren't fighting. We weren't arguing. We weren't even disagreeing. We were just existing beside each other. Like two parallel lines. Close. But never really touching. It took me a long time to admit that to myself. Because how do you complain about fine? How do you tell someone, "I'm not unhappy, but I'm not fully here either"? That sounds ungrateful. So I stayed quiet. He stayed quiet. And our silence grew heavier every day. One evening, I noticed it more than usual. We were sitting across from each other at the dinner table. Same table we'd eaten at for years. Same plates. Same routine. But neither of us was really there. He was scrolling on his phone. I was answering emails. The food got cold. Neither of us noticed. The only sound in the room was the soft tapping of our screens. Not voices. Not laughter. Just digital noise. And suddenly I thought, when was the last time we actually talked? Not logistics. Not did you pay the bill? Not, what do you want for dinner? But really talked? I couldn't remember. That scared me more than anything. So I said something. Softly. Almost like I didn't want to disturb the air. Do you ever feel like we're just repeating the same day over and over? He looked up. Actually looked at me. Like he hadn't seen me in a while. His eyebrows lifted, surprised. Then he said something I didn't expect. I thought it was just me. That sentence felt like someone opening a window in a stuffy room. Fresh air. Honest. Real. It was the first genuine moment we'd shared in months. Maybe longer. We didn't plan anything dramatic. No therapy sessions. No ultimatums. No big speeches. Just something small. Something simple. Something that felt almost silly. We made one rule. 1 hour a week. No phones. No TV. No distractions. Just us. That's it. 60 minutes. We called it our hour. Nothing fancy. Just time. The first night? It was painfully awkward. We sat on opposite ends of the couch like strangers waiting for a bus. Neither of us knew how to start. Years of unspoken thoughts don't magically disappear just because you schedule them. He cleared his throat. Forced a smile. So, what do people even talk about when they actually talk? I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was true. We had forgotten how. And somehow that made it lighter. More human. Less scary. So we started small. What was the best part of your day? What stressed you out? Do you remember that old cafe we used to go to? Random things. Simple things. Nothing life-changing. But something strange happened. The more we talked, the easier it became. Like muscles we hadn't used in years slowly waking up, stretching, remembering what they were made for. Weeks passed. Our hour became something we quietly looked forward to. Sometimes we made tea. Sometimes we just sat on the floor. Sometimes we talked the whole time. Sometimes we just sat in silence together. But it wasn't empty silence anymore. It felt shared, comfortable, safe. Then one night, the conversations got deeper. Less surface, more truth. We started talking about things we had buried under responsibility, dreams we gave up without telling each other, fears we pretended we didn't have, little disappointments we swallowed because they weren't important enough. But they were important, because small things pile up, and eventually they build walls, invisible ones. And then, he said something that stopped me. I didn't know how to reach you anymore, he admitted quietly. So, I stopped trying. That sentence hurt. Not because it was cruel, but because it was honest. And honesty doesn't attack. It reveals. I realized I had done the same thing. We hadn't drifted apart because we didn't care. We drifted apart because we were scared of bothering each other. Scared of being needy. Scared of asking for more. So we both chose silence, thinking we were protecting the other. But all we were really doing was disappearing. And that was the moment I understood something. Trying something new isn't always about excitement. Sometimes, it's about courage. The courage to say, I miss you, even when they're right beside you. Something shifted after that night. Not a big shift. Not the kind you notice right away. There were no fireworks. No movie-style breakthroughs. No sudden everything is fixed moment. It was quieter than that. But it was real. And somehow real lasts longer. The next morning didn't look any different. Same alarm. Same coffee brewing. Same sunlight slipping through the curtains. He still rushed to get ready for work. I still checked my emails too early. Life didn't magically slow down just because we'd had one honest conversation. But something small had changed. When he passed me in the kitchen, he touched my shoulder. Just for a second. Not absent-mindedly. Not automatic. Intentional. Like he was saying, I see you. And for some reason, that tiny touch stayed with me all day. It's strange how you forget the power of small things. When you first fall in love, everything is small. Brushing hands. Sharing headphones. Inside jokes. Late-night whispers. But after years together, you start believing love has to be big to matter. Big trips. Big gifts. Big gestures. Meanwhile, the small things quietly disappear. And those are the ones that actually hold everything together. Our hour kept happening every week. No skipping. Even when we were tired. Even when work was stressful. Even when we didn't feel like talking. Especially then. Because we made one promise. This hour wasn't for convenience. It was for commitment. And commitment doesn't depend on mood. Some nights were easy. We laughed. Told old stories. Remembered how we used to be. Other nights? Heavy. Uncomfortable. The kind of conversations where you stare at the floor more than each other. The kind where your chest feels tight. Because you don't know how the other person will react. But we stayed. That became our new rule. No matter what comes up. We stay. One evening, I asked him something I'd been holding in for years. Are you happy? He didn't answer immediately. He leaned back thinking. And that pause scared me more than any answer could. Because pauses hold truth. Finally he said, I'm tired. Not unhappy. Not angry. Just tired. And somehow that broke my heart more. Because I knew exactly what he meant. Tired of responsibilities. Tired of pressure. Tired of always being strong. Tired of carrying everything quietly. That's when I realized something I'd never fully understood before. Sometimes distance isn't created by lack of love. It's created by exhaustion. Two people can love each other deeply and still feel miles apart. Simply because life drains them dry. When you're exhausted, you stop reaching. Not because you don't care, but because you don't have anything left to give. So we tried something else new. Something unexpected. Something that sounded backward at first. We decided to spend more time apart. Not emotionally apart, but individually alive. Because somewhere along the way, we had both stopped being people. We had only been roles. Husband, wife, provider, caretaker, bill payé, problem solver. But not him, not me, just us surviving. He pulled out an old guitar one Saturday afternoon. It had been sitting in the closet for years, covered in dust. I used to love hearing him play when we were younger. Back when music filled the apartment. Back when Sundays felt slow and endless. He used to write little melodies just for fun. Then life got busy, and the guitar disappeared. I didn't even remember when. But that day, I heard it again. Soft notes drifting down the hallway. Messy. Out of practice. But alive. And something about that sound made me smile without realizing it. It felt like meeting an old friend. At the same time, I started doing something for myself. Something small. I began taking evening walks alone. No phone. No podcast. Just me and the quiet streets. At first I felt guilty. Like I should be doing something productive instead. Laundry. Cleaning. Answering emails. But slowly, those walks became sacred. Time where I wasn't anyone's responsibility. Where I could just think. Just breathe. Just exist. And here's the strange part. When we came back together at night, we actually had things to talk about. Not complaints. Not schedules. Stories. He'd say, I figured out this new chord today. I'd say, I saw the prettiest sunset near the park. Little things. But they mattered. Because silence isn't empty when you bring pieces of yourself back into it. I think that's when I understood something important. You can't pour into a relationship if your own cup is empty. Two drained people can't create connection. They can only share fatigue. But two people who feel alive individually, they bring energy back home. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Change never is. There were days we slipped. Days we fell right back into old habits. Scrolling at dinner. Short replies. Half listening. Stress creeping in like it always does. And sometimes we snapped at each other. Over nothing. Over dishes. Over tone. Over things that weren't really the problem. Because the real problem was always something deeper. But this time was different. This time, we noticed it faster. Before, arguments would stretch for days. Cold silence. Passive distance. Waiting for the other person to apologize first. Now, apologies came quicker. Softer. More honest. Not fine sorry. But, I'm overwhelmed and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. That kind of apology changes everything. Because it doesn't blame. It explains. One night we argued about something stupid. I don't even remember what. Something about groceries or timing or who forgot what. It escalated fast. Voices raised. Frustration spilling out sideways. For a second, it felt like the old days. That familiar wall building again. That instinct to shut down. To go quiet. To sleep back to back without touching. But as I turned away, I felt his hand grab mine. Gentle, but firm. And he said 4 words I'll never forget. Let's not go quiet. That was it. Not a speech. Not a solution. Just that. Let's not disappear from each other. Let's not punish each other with silence. Let's not pretend we don't care. And somehow, those 4 words meant more than any grand romantic gesture ever could. Because silence had always been our biggest enemy. Not anger. Not disagreement. Silence. The kind where you slowly become strangers while sharing the same space. The kind where days pass without really being seen. We promised each other something that night. No more quiet walls. If something hurts, we say it. If something feels off, we talk. Even if it's messy. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if our voices shake. Because messy truth is better than peaceful distance. Every single time. And slowly, something beautiful happened. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. But steady. Safe. Like a heartbeat. We stopped trying to be perfect partners. And started being honest ones. I stopped expecting him to read my mind. He stopped assuming silence meant strength. We both learned something we should have known years ago. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's an invitation. An invitation that says, Come closer. This is the real me. Months pass like that. Quiet progress. Tiny steps. Little choices. Choosing to sit together. Choosing to listen. Choosing to stay. Every single day. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. And somehow, that choice felt more romantic than anything else. One day, a friend asked us casually, "So what did you guys do? You seem different lately. Happier." We looked at each other, smiled, and he said something simple. We didn't fix anything. We just finally showed up. And that was the truth. We didn't repair a broken marriage. We woke up a sleeping one.